from Nashville, Tennessee, and broadcasting around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, you have left the comfort of day and entered through the darkened alleys of the far side. Tonight, we are welcoming back none other than Ronnie and Laura Lee, a.k.a. Angel Girl and Witchy Woman. The gals have a Halloween special running right now for us where you can get their book, Got Ghosts, for $18 and free shipping. You can get it by going to thefarside.tv/gotghosts. Now, without further ado, gals, welcome back to the Far Side.
Thank you, Bob. Good to be back.
It's great to have you back here. Now, your book here, you told me that you have a Halloween special, $18, free shipping, and free grid rocks. What is that?
The Amorite rocks are what we use with our Ghostbustings, and they are interdimensional rocks. You can read about them on our website, and they are the stone of truth and justice, and they help us to be able to get to the truth of the matter, and also help stabilize the energies around the house or the people that we're working with. And we have done Ghostbustings with them and without them, and we will not do it without them anymore because it just takes too long. It's too energy draining, and it's not good for us. It's not good for our clients. And these rocks are just amazing. I call them my pet rocks because they're actual life forms, and they are interdimensional. I tell people if something happens that they can't find them, to call them back. And usually, like 99% of the time, they come back. But sometimes they come back in places that they didn't leave them, like they'll find them in their medicine chest or something, in some really strange places. So
the cool thing about these rocks is that they're not from this planet.
They're not from this planet?
No, they're tektites or from outer space, another planet, really. And Laura Lee had them assayed, and they found that they were quite unusual, not your average rock, that's for sure.
No, because they have traces of every known element on the periodic scale, plus there was stuff in there that they didn't know what it was. And so I think it's the stuff that they didn't know what it was that makes it really work well. And one thing that they do that I think is really nice is that you can set it down by one of your crystals and give it a job to do. They love jobs. So you set one down by your crystals and say, could you please clean this for me? And you come back a few hours later, and it's clean. Because one of the things that they do is neutralize energies that are garbage. And they're just really good grounders, good neutralizers, and they will clean your crystals. So they're really, really user-friendly rocks.
Will they clean dishes for you, too?
You know, I haven't tried that one, but if they do, I'll let you know, okay?
If they do, I can get rid of my dishwasher, and my wife would be happy.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, and with the reason we're including free grid rocks with our book is what we have found is when people set these rocks up in a grid in their house, there's 5 little stones. It just tends to balance the energy. It tends to make things a little more peaceful, and it's a stabilizer. So the more these rocks that can get out there, the better it is for the planet. Laura Lee's had people that have gridded around the world, amazing places. I think even the Vatican was gridded recently.
Yeah, exactly. We've had some really amazing stories come back from. On the website, it tells you some of the places. I've got to update it, but it's got most of the places that people have reported that they have gridded, and I keep a file in my office and I have them send me a map of where it is. And it's interesting that CERN has been gridded. And, all the hoopla of things that they were supposed to start it up, and then it keeps having problems. Well, it started having real problems after it was gridded. And I can't help but think that some of that isn't due to having that Amorite grid rock around that area. And when people would write to me and tell me, how worried they were, and I just check in with the rocks, I say, are you guys doing your thing? They're like, oh yeah, we got it covered. So I'm like, okay, I'm cool. And I haven't been worried about that stuff at all because it's like they said, we got it covered. And there's one that was put around, like Ronnie said, the Vatican. There's one in Washington, D.C. We got the power centers gridded. So there's Vatican, D.C., and the City of London. And since those grids have been put in place, it's like the shift starts hitting the fan and truth and justice start coming out. And it was after the grid in the Vatican was placed that the Pope advocated. So, and things have shifted a lot in the Catholic Church. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it sure is a lot more kinder and gentler than it used to be. And
boy, is it ever.
Yeah, and putting, having the improprieties that they have gone on for so long with children, that's coming out, and they're starting to try to make amends for that, which before they wouldn't even admit that anything was going on. So I am just really thrilled that all of these grids are going out, and I strictly work with first wave indigos, and I won't work with them. One of the things that they have to do before I will do a session with them is that they have to grid someplace in their town that needs it. And so we've got a lot of really interesting buildings in various cities all over that have been gridded, and a lot of like police stations and things like that. And it's really making a difference. And so if you start investigating this, go to the list and see when the grids were put in, and then go to that city and see how the shift hit the fan after that. Here in Spokane, we've had a lot of shift happen after we put the grids up here, and and you know what? Little Spokane is is suing Monsanto. I mean, for polluting our river. I'm just like, you go, kids. I'm just really proud to be a part of the city, and we've, Spokane's done a lot better after it was gridded. And it was gridded, I think, in 2007. I think is when we put the grid up here.
It makes a difference, and I think that's why, when people order ghosts and they can read about the rock in there and all the different things and why we use it with our Ghostbustings, we are just going to, for Halloween, they get a little special, and we'll give them a free set of grid rocks. The $18 price with shipping, that includes shipping, that's a pretty good price, too, because it's usually $22. So
but that's not international. That's just not for
the continental states.
Yeah, it's not international. We'll have to charge more for international shipping.
Yes. Now, the last time we spoke, you mentioned something that really got the attention of a lot of listeners, and that being there was at one time an energy field or net surrounding the Ground Zero site. Give us more information about that. What was this energy field? Who do you think might have put it there? And was it truly built to keep the souls of those who died on 9/11 tormented?
The net that we saw, and we're not the only ones that saw it, there were other psychics that saw that. From what I was getting is that it was 7 groups of, we'll call them archons. They're off-planet beings, and they get a high off of pain, suffering, and fear. So if they could put a net around that, keep those people from being able to cross, they had like this huge smorgasbord for several days of this. So they were like having a party there. And after that was cleaned up, there was a huge shift. And other psychics saw that the net was gone. Some of them that saw it before looked again, like, well, what happened to the net? we've seen nets in other places. That's not the only place. In fact, what I was getting is that there's like 300 groups that put these nets in places to hold that energy there and keep it alive, keep it perpetuating.
What's the purpose?
So that they can have their lunch. They like pain, suffering, and fear. And
that's what they feed on. Yeah.
It's really sick and twisted, and it needs to stop. And there's a lot of people who are psychically savvy to this that have been also instrumental in taking some of these nets down that know how to do it and know how to do it without getting slapped after. But I saw some of these even over Las Vegas when I was there last. That's been like 8 or 9 years ago. I'm like, well, why would they have them over there? And then it's like, oh, yeah, duh. There's a lot of, well, if you think Vegas, there's all sorts of energies there, but there's one of the biggest energies that are there that they also feed on is sexual energy. And so when I saw that, I thought, well, forget that. I'm going to take that down, and I took it down, and I think, I have to check on it regularly because things keep putting them back up there because it's such a hotbed for that kind of energy, for money, for sex, for all sorts of craziness. And it's important to know that there's beings out there that like this and like to perpetuate it, so they make different devices to keep it going. So
we had never seen anything like that before, ever. And when Laura Lee and I, at the same moment, almost looked at each other and said, we need to do something at the World Trade Center, we had no idea what we were going to come up against. And then when we saw that net, we were like, what is that? It was so amazing. Later we found, as Laura Lee mentioned, other psychics had seen the net. We didn't know that. We'd never heard of such a thing. But throughout different blogs and things on the Internet, we realized that there were other people seeing this thing. So it was quite unusual. But because we work so intensely with, I work with the angels, and she has the groups that she works with in the cryogenetics egg, we were able to get in there, rescue those souls, those poor souls that were repeating the trauma over and over again. It was so horrible. We could rescue them and allow them to cross. Another place, she saw the net in Vegas. Well, in 2005, when Katrina hit, there was such devastation.
Oh, yeah.
With the Katrina hurricane. And I said to her, we need to maybe see what we can do over there, because I got that feeling that there's a lot of stuck souls. They were just stuck. And when we looked, oh, lo and behold, another net, keeping that horror and that pain and that fear and that negativity all trapped in there. And it was almost like these entities stick a straw in and just feed on it.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
Yeah. We were able to dismantle that and rescue a lot of the Katrina victims. So, yeah, it's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing some people have mentioned, because I do post these interviews to YouTube, and people do like to comment. And one thing people mentioned, not everybody, but a few people, is that they're just not sure about you because you love to laugh. But when you're in this sort of business the way y'all are, and you deal with negativity, you deal with spirits, death, life, etc., you really have to keep the laughter in your life. Otherwise, you'll just go insane.
Exactly. Yeah. And, it's interesting that you bring this up, because there are, I think they target me more than Ronnie. Some people, apparently, my laughter really annoys them. But maybe it's because it's spontaneous, and some people don't like spontaneous or something, I don't know. But I wrote a book called Cryogenetics, The Simple Secrets of Human Alchemy, and laughter is one of the keys that will set you free if you get stuck into negative or oppressive energies. And so we do this spontaneously, but we also let our laughter ring when we do interviews like this, because it's really important not to get stuck in the fear and the anxiety of these very dark, sick, twisted subjects that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And if we didn't laugh, sometimes Ronnie and I will get on the phone and we'll just get each other laughing. If we didn't laugh, we would be in a world of hurt. And we wouldn't have as much success with what we do if we didn't laugh.
Yes.
And I have seen people, and I've seen healers that never laugh, and I think there's something wrong with them, because that's part of it. That's part of healing. If I can get my clients to laugh after they have gone through a real horrendous session where they've cleared things from traumas in their past, if they can laugh, then I know that they're really, really healing, and it's authentic, and that whatever it was that happened to them isn't a skeleton in their closet anymore, and it isn't something that's prevailing over them, that they're free of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
they say laughter's the best medicine, and Laurelie's exactly right. I mean, laughter's actually cured cancer.
Has it?
And we've had Look at Dr. Norman Cousins' work years and years ago, where he's had people do, watch funny movies and read funny books and jokes, and he's had remarkable results, because there's a morphogenetic field that when you laugh, it can break the energy of that field that might be, you're stuck in, and it makes all the difference in the world. I had a client, in fact, it's a young man that has his own radio show, really awesome man, but he had read our book and how important laughter was, and he was getting psychically attacked. I mean, an evil entity came into his house and scared the bejesus out of him. I mean, just scared him silly. And he remembered laughter, that it raises the vibration. And he called a friend of his, middle of the night, but it was a good friend. And he was able to talk to this friend and start laughing, and the entity went away. So, yeah, we laugh, and we didn't...
It will shatter the matrix that can have you spellbound, literally. And I don't think, Ronnie, we didn't talk about when I had that voodoo curse on me. We didn't talk about that last time, did we?
No, but I was thinking of that one too, that one and Ryan's story.
Yeah, this has been like 10 years ago. And I was basically homeless, and Ronnie let me stay in her basement. She was so nice.
I remember.
Yeah.
And I was trying to help this guy whose family was in this voodoo cult, and they didn't take too kindly to that. So one day I woke up and I felt like I had literal stab wounds in my chest, and like 5 of them, and I could feel the sting. You know how when you get cut, it stings?
Yes.
And I'm looking at my chest, there's nothing there. And it got worse. Every day it gets worse, and then my ribs feel like they've been bruised, and it starts hurting to breathe, and then at night there's no position I could sleep in that didn't hurt, and I'm like, this is not good. And I started taking more vitamins and doing things that way, and that wasn't working, and I started rubbing my feet thinking reflexology would help, and that wasn't working. I'm like, okay, whatever this is, it's real, but it's not real. And I was just trying to figure out what I could do, because I felt my life force draining too. It was really kind of scary, because I knew something was on me that had a control of my body that was doing these stab wounds, and it was like I didn't know what to do. Where do you go? I can't go to a doctor. There's nothing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to Ronnie, and she said something, and it made me laugh, and I started laughing. I said, oh, don't do that. It hurts to laugh. And then she said something else funny. I said, oh, really? No, really, it hurts. And then we all both started laughing, and I could feel the energy of whatever was holding me spellbound, literally, with this voodoo curse start breaking up.
Hmm.
And we laughed for like, I don't know, what was it, like a half hour, 45, an hour? It was a long time.
Literally rolling on the floor laughing.
We were both on the floor, just laughing, pounding the floor, coughing up phlegm. We couldn't breathe. I had to keep running to the bathroom. And when we were done, we were just exhausted when it was done.
Oh,
but
I bet.
When we were done and Ronnie went up to bed, I was like 75% better.
Hmm.
And then it just kept, every day it got less and less and less, and then in a few days it was gone.
Wow.
Now, what I found out later was that, I didn't recognize it at the time, but the stab wounds, there was 5 of them, and they were in the shape of an upside-down pentagram on my chest. Now, the problem was they were on the right side instead of the left side, so whoever did this voodoo thing didn't realize that when you look at a voodoo doll, it's backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of funny because they got the wrong side, so I just kind of laughed at that.
It's kind of like getting a tattoo to spell something and it's spelt wrong.
It's spelt wrong, that's right.
I love it. But you know, this laughter, I would say this laughter, and when you really get into that place where you're just letting everything go, and in that mode of laughter, I call it holy laughter. And, you know, it's a lot better than holy, you know.
Holy what?
Holy shit. But it's true. I've had many occasions where the spirit, the holy divine spirit comes over you, and you get so hysterical you could hardly breathe. But then there's a healing that takes place. So yeah, mostly men don't like our laughter. We've seen the trolls kind of, you know, attack us in ways, and we're okay with that. We just like to laugh, and we do need it. When you go into a house to Ghostbust, and there's dark, negative entities in there, and there's things trying to scare you, we don't get scared because we know better. We know what's going on, but we laugh, and they don't like that. They cannot feed on laughter. It actually takes their power away. So something to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And they get really annoyed when you start laughing and making fun of them. It's like, really? Really? You think that'll scare me? And that just, it throws them off balance because most people don't have that kind of auto response to them. And so if, you know, for you that have haunted houses, you know, just start using humor with them and see what happens.
Gals, what would you say was the scariest time that you've encountered together as far as a haunting?
The one that really comes to mind for me is it was here in Spokane, and a professor from Eastern Washington University had a very haunted house. And we got called in to help clear the house. And at the time, there was a videographer who wanted us. He liked the idea that when we do our work, something happens. You know, in other words, when people call us for ghosts and they have crazy things happening, we come in, we do our work, and the craziness is gone. And he liked that idea, that something actually is tangible after we finish doing our work. So he wanted to come video us, and we said, fine. So we were walking around in the backyard. It was summertime, and they had a big backyard with lots of trees and wood and things like that. And walking around, and one of the ladies that was with us, she screamed, "Ronnie, stop!" And I stopped dead. She goes, "Turn right." And I turned. She goes, "Now turn left." And I did, and I was like, "What?" And right on the ground where I would have taken my next step was the biggest frickin' snake I had ever seen in my life. I mean, a big frickin' snake. It's like, oh my God. And it turns out, this is so funny, that the videographer's wife was a herpetologist of all things. She knew about snakes. And she says, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a corn snake. It won't bother you. It's scared of us." And so she took a big stick and she tried to move the snake. Well, The snake was having nothing of it. And it literally set its beady little eyes on me. And no matter where I started to walk, this snake would start to follow me. Oh, my God, I was so scared. Well, it turns out that this snake was being manipulated by a Native American shaman who had crossed, or didn't cross, really had died a lot of years before that. And he was standing guard for the property, and he didn't want us there because we were going to be clearing a lot of ghosts and a lot of energy from this area, and he didn't like it. He didn't like the idea. And so he sent the snake after us because the snake did not behave like any snake she'd ever seen. Once I caught him in my radar and I was able to see what he was doing, the snake just slithered away and was gone. And so that kind of was pretty freaky and got my little heart pounding. And usually it's not ghosts, but snakes. So we did clear the place. It was a wonderful ghost busting because there were so many souls. There was little boys that were stuck there, and lots of Native Americans, and I could go on. That story I think is in our book too. It's at the end of our book, so it's a good one.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my scariest.
How about you, Laura Lee? Well, my scariest I can't talk about. It's too weird, okay? It goes into the... I don't know if you've seen on our website, but we have this thing that talks about, and it's in the book too, about weird shit. And it says, it tells you that there's degrees of weird shit. There's weird shit, and then there's really weird shit, and then there's really weird scary shit, and then there's really weird funky shit. So you'll have to look at it. You can get T-shirts. We've got a Cafe Press site that you can get T-shirts that have this on it. But my stuff would involve that, and I really can't talk about it on the air right now. I've had some really weird stuff happen.
I imagine you have, after all.
And I have to laugh, and I'm laughing now because that's what takes the total charge off of that stuff.
Ah, okay. I didn't mean to set anybody up or anything.
No.
We don't want Laura Lee missing tomorrow.
Maybe the next time I'll be able to talk about it, but right now I can't. Sometimes there's stuff that I just can't talk about on the air, and then like a month later, it's like, okay, you can talk about that now. So
we definitely don't want you to be missing Laura Lee. I mean, you might you might end up in somebody else's basement, and they don't even know about it.
That's right. That's really funny.
You never know.
I mean, I didn't know if Ronnie was aware you were in her basement the last time.
She just showed up there one day.
That's what I figured until you said that you knew she was there. So, in this day and age, you never know.
You never know.
And then you just became best friends. You're like, hey, I like you.
That's really funny.
The lady in my basement. I should write a book.
An American Horror Story.
Yes.
Lord of mercy.
No, it would be an American humor story. We'd laugh a lot more than we were in horror.
Yes. What I need now, I have a lot of guests who come on and they like to laugh. I need somebody who will scream. Just out of nowhere, we could be talking, and all of a sudden they'll just let out a huge burst. Just scream as loud as they can.
Really?
That's what I really need. I mean, everybody people complain about laughter. I want them to complain about someone actually screaming their ear off.
Go for it, Bob.
I'm not. No, if I did that myself, I won't have a show.
Oh. And we don't, that's funny. We just don't scream. All the Ghostbustings we've been Ghostbusting for almost 15 years, and I don't think we ever screamed. I've had ghosts scream at us. I've had ghosts scream in my ear. The favorite thing that ghosts like to say is, "Get out." Mm-hmm. That's their stock line. They want you out of their space.
Ghosts all over the place, and that's what they say. It's like, ghost talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Get out.
Gals, I remember when I first moved over here to where I'm at now, on occasion I would sleep on the couch because my wife tells me I snore like a bear. I don't know. I can't hear it. So I have to go on the couch sometimes. But there were many times. I mean, one night after another, I would have this strange dream of somebody coming to the door, knocking on the door, screaming at me, "Let me in, let me in," and I wouldn't let them in. It's nighttime. I'm like, I'm not going to let you in. And eventually, the person would let themselves in, go right through the door, and say, "I said, let me in." And I would wake right up. I mean, that happened for like weeks on end, every single night. That scared the living hell out of me. I don't know what that was, but it eventually stopped.
It probably went to the next house. It decided it wasn't getting anywhere in your house. But that sounds like a ghost. I mean, it sounds so typical of ghosts because don't forget, when people die, if they don't cross over and get to go back to, I call it back to God, back home where they belong, they get stuck and they get trapped and they don't even know they're dead and they think that you're inhabiting their house. And so they have this brain fog because they don't really know exactly what's going on. So here's these other people in their house and the door's locked and they want to get in, or they get really upset when you want to redecorate the house. Oh, ghosts hate that. They get so angry. They'll turn over paint cans. We've had so many stories like that of ghosts, getting really upset when some of the reconstruction or remodeling is getting done. But they're stuck. They're absolutely many times clueless of what's happening, and they're so confused. To us, it's sad. It's very sad because they are not in a good place. It's not a happy place for them. And so we make a lot of fun about stuff like this, but we're ghost rescuers. We want to rescue these trapped spirits. We want to send them home, send them back where they belong, and so they don't bother people again, and they can then continue to evolve because, in my opinion, that's why we're here in the first place. It's to evolve the soul.
What are y'all's opinion about, I'm not exactly sure what his name is, Chip Kofi or something like that? He's doing a live exorcism on October the 30th. What do y'all know about him, and do you believe in what he does? Because it seems like he doesn't necessarily go in for spirit rescuing, but it's more of an entertainment deal for him, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't go for that entertainment stuff. There is so much garbage on TV right now. I don't have a TV, but when I have an occasion to watch like Ghost Hunters and stuff like that, it is so annoying. I can't watch it because it's all Hollywood, it's all hype, and they never, ever help the ghost. They just find it, they harass it, they call it out. It's like, okay, well, anybody can do that. Why don't you find somebody to help this poor soul across? And they don't. And so I just can't watch him. It's like, for me, it's like watching factory farm videos, where they're torturing animals. I just can't do it. So, Ronnie, you'll have to answer that because I don't know who he's talking about.
Well, I do. To be honest, I've never watched any of his work, but the only thing I do know about him is something positive. Because I know that Chip took our Twilight Brigade hospice training. And my friend Sandy, who's the national trainer, he was in her class. And it's a 3-day class to teach people how to be with the dying, how, to help the dying in their last hours, days, weeks, months, just to be that loving presence at the bedside. And he took that class, so I have to say yay for him. But other than that, I don't, like Lorley, I don't pay attention to those sensationalists that go find ghosts. Ghosts are everywhere. You want to find a ghost, look out the window.
Yes.
There's thousands of ghosts that are around here. And Lorley, the way we both work, we don't need little EVP meters. We don't need the tools. It's not that they're not good. It's we have our own antennas. We have learned how to hone our skills and shift our frequency so that we can tune in and see where they are. So, yeah. The other thing is we wrote that book, Got Ghosts, so people can bust their own ghosts. Like I said, they're everywhere. So we have a do-it-yourself ghost-busting guide in there, and we've had quite a few clients that have taken our book, followed the steps, and actually became Ghostbusters themselves, rescuing family members and things like that. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, when you're dealing with a ghost, have you ever had to send one to the corner? Tell one that they're misbehaving, go in the corner, there's a timeout?
Actually, yes.
You have?
Yes.
A lot. As a matter of fact, we have. And not usually that many, but we call it quarantining them instead of sending them to the corner. Laura Lee figured this one out. She channeled this sacred geometrical thing that was called a cryogenetics egg, and she mentioned it once before. But it's very powerful. And when we were at the Amargosa Hotel and Opera House, or the Hotel California, as we like to call it, we had to quarantine a very mean, evil, tyrannical, horrible ghost who would not let the other ghosts out. There were hundreds of ghosts there, hundreds. And he had all the ghosts under his thumb. And when we came, well, we didn't even know we were going to do a ghost rescue. They just said, "Oh, would you like to see a haunted place?" And we went, "Okay." And they took us there, and it's like, it was like we were set up blindsided. It's like, now, we've had 3 or 4 people try to clean this place of ghosts, and nobody has been successful. Will you try? And we looked at each other and went, okay. We didn't have any of our tools, but we did it.
Mm-hmm.
We cleaned hundreds of ghosts out of there. And this tyrannical ghost would not let us operate. And Laura Lee was brilliant enough to quarantine this ghost in an egg and make it go to sleep. And she said, night-night, and put it to sleep. And then we smelled the most rotten smell you can ever imagine. It was like rotten eggs. And we're in the middle of the desert. There's like nothing out there, nothing. But rotten eggs. And so we did our job. I think we talked about some of the stories on the last show. We were able to have the ghosts leave and rescue them and save them. And when she brought this ghost back awake again, now that everybody else was gone, we smelled that rotten smell again. It was putrefying. It was nasty.
And he was ticked off. He was angry.
Oh,
he was really
God, was angry. He was banging on the egg. Spittle was coming out of his mouth and screaming vile, horrible things and kicking. And it was nasty. And just to give people an idea, a lot of people would have called this ghost a demon. He was that vile and that vengeful. But when it came time to send him across, he wouldn't go. We usually will bring in Yeshua ben Joseph, otherwise known as Jesus, Archangel Michael, to help us, the angels. He was having none of it. He looked at those beings and went, nope, because he was atheist. He didn't care. He was bitter. He was violent. And it wasn't until I thought about bringing his mother through that it changed everything. Because his mother had died when he was 10. He was a nice little boy until then. She died. His father was a rat bastard. I mean, horrible. He treated the dogs better than he treated his own son, and he would beat this child, beat him with a belt. He would starve him. He would kick him. He was an alcoholic. He was so abusive, it was nauseating. And that's why this little boy grew up to be such a horrible, tyrannical, evil bastard, totally, because of what his father had done. And so that's how he was in life. He knew that nobody would treat him well, so he treated everybody poorly. But when his mother came down the tunnel, because we form a tunnel that goes from the ghost area back home, and then brought the mother back, his whole demeanor changed from this evil, vile, he was so disgusting, interesting to look at. He turned back into a little boy again. Everything softened about him. And it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And so she took him home, and he left, and poof. And after that was done, we smelled roses in the middle of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
There's no roses there. But everyone there smelled roses. It was so magnificent.
Can a vile person be redeemed in the afterlife?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, he sure was.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering, because it seemed like he was vile in this life, and he got his mother back, and regardless of what he did in his life while here, angry, hated people for one reason or another, but when his mother came, he reverted back to a childlike state.
Yes, and that is total redemption. And seeing what I believe, I work with death a lot. I'm a hospice volunteer, so, I see a lot of death, and I know people that have died and come back. But it's my belief that when someone dies, the tunnel home always forms. It is always there. But if that person dies in a very negative way, a painful way, a stressful way, a shocked way, a murdered way, angry, all those negative emotions, they don't get to see the tunnel home, and that's why they get stuck. But once we cross them over, they get to do a life review. We all get to do a life review. We get to be the people that we hurt. We get to experience what they felt. And instead of God judging us, we get to judge ourselves. And that's what causes the redemption, because we see and feel the direct results of what we did in this life. And by going through that, we are redeemed, and we get to move on.
Interesting.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
No, I think that's a good story. One thing that I have in the stories on my website is that a lot of the powers that be that think they own this place, they put karma in a spirit trap. And so they could just go raise all sorts of hell and figured they wouldn't be able to, nothing bad had happened to them because they got karma in a trap. Well, we were able to find her, and she was not a happy camper when she found out what happened. And that's been about, I think that was like 9 years ago. And a lot of shift has happened since then. So I want everybody to know that where you think, is Karma alive and well? Oh, yes, she is. And she's got helpers. And it just is taking a while for all these people that thought they could duck karma, ain't happening. Mm-hmm. So I just want to give you a little good news there.
You still reap what you sow.
Are you saying that karma is a real spiritual entity?
It's a spiritual entity, yes. In fact, a lot of the things that you wouldn't think have an actual spirit do, like people talk about the spirit of nature, and they think, you're just talking about something, but it is an actual being. And there's a spirit of time. There's a spirit of space. There's a spirit of many, many, many things. There's a spirit of love. There's a spirit of kindness. And spirit of karma. Many, many of these things are actual entities, beings. And when you start thinking of it in that way, your spirituality expands. And you think, okay, the earth. Well, the earth has a spirit, and you can connect with the earth spirit. And it just opens up. And so all these indigenous cultures that talk about the spiritual aspects of everything, they knew what they were talking about. And a lot of them did have personal relationships with them. And so I think it's just good to, open up your horizons and start talking. I've had several indigos that I encourage to talk to these spirits, because a lot of them are their spirit guides. And I didn't know this until I started doing readings, and they started coming up. And there's a lot of indigos that have the spirit of time as their one of their spirit guides, and then they also have Tesla, which adds a whole new dynamic. And these people are just doing amazing things with technology and being able to fix the rips in time and space that has been going on because of things like the Montauk Project.
Mm-hmm. I was just reading a forum that I used to run, which a good friend now runs. She was also in the hospice before, and she saw so much in her life as a hospice nurse. But someone just said, for someone that tackles such a serious topic as ghost, they sure laugh a lot. We just discussed that, people. What the? Get with the program.
Get over
We're going to have to laugh at you because that was too funny.
We like to laugh in hospice. In hospice too, and I worked at the VA with dying veterans, and oh my gosh, we used laughter all the time, and they appreciated it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So laughter is important. And I don't know if you want to talk about hell.
Hell.
I'll just say about hell.
Hell. Let's just say that for the rest of the show. Hell.
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 We can talk about hell. Because, there are
having way too
people.
much fun.
We are, but for people in hospice, when they had the belief that they were going to die and go to hell because they weren't good enough, because maybe they had to kill somebody, they were in a war, they didn't treat their wife right, they came back from the war and became drunks because of what they saw, and they had PTSD, and they thought they were going to go to hell. And let me tell you something, those people would hang on and hang on and hang on, and they were afraid to die. Well, this is so wrong. It is just so wrong. So we would be able to come in there and tell them that hell does not exist unless you want it to. Okay? It does not. God does not send his children to hell, period, end of story. And so by telling them a little bit about the founder of the organization, who was a very bad man, I won't go into details, but he was hit by lightning, and if anybody should go to hell, it would have been him. He was a bully. He was a terrible person. And he didn't go to hell. I guarantee you no one else is. So when they realize that it's all about love, it's all about love. Love is the strongest, most powerful frequency, energy that there is, and it's what created us. It's what surrounds us at all times. It's what's inside of us at all times, that creator that use love to create everything. When they understand that they could die in peace, and then they don't get stuck. You see, it's that fear that gets them stuck. Now, does that mean that hell doesn't exist? Well, for people that believe it exists, if they believe they deserve to go, they will create a form of hell for themselves. Okay, it's not God doing it. It's their own thoughts, because thoughts create reality here and in the afterlife. So by educating people and letting them know that it's about the love and it's about family, because everyone they ever loved, whoever loved them, will be there to greet them when they cross, that takes the fear away and gets them through. So only if you want to create hell, and I've been there, I've rescued people from hell. It's not a good place. I've done it. But they're there from their own creation. It's not God placing them there. It's so important to understand the difference. And if you ever find yourself in a yucky place, just think of love. Think of Jesus. Think of what brings you that love, and you'll be free.
If there is no hell, where do you suppose demons and negative entities are coming from?
Fourth dimension is part of it. Alien places. Laura Lee, that's what I call that weird shit. So she's the queen of weird shit. She knows.
There are my belief is that the Bible was really messed up in order to control the masses. And I totally believe what Ronnie said in the movie What Dreams May Come. That totally is, from my experience, what happens. You create this gray place that you can't get out of, and it's depressing, and unless somebody can help you out, you're there for a long time. There are some really creepy, nasty things going on. And no, the devil didn't do it. I would call them the archons that think that they run this place. And they can create, through black magic, all sorts of things. But we can uncreate that and outcreate that with determination. And in the book Cryogenetics, it gives you the keys of how to do that. And so all of these fearful things like demons, we don't even like to say the word demon because it conjures up all these images. So we call them, entities or just, we call them ass souls, okay?
Yeah.
All these creepy things, we call them ass souls. And then sometimes there's ass no souls that are just like projections. And so I know that there's some really creepy, nasty, dark places out there. I've been there. I know that there's things that are projecting crap to us. I've been projected on a lot. There's some kind of, there's a lot of different methods of doing it. Sometimes it's psychic, sometimes it's electronic. But if you all of a sudden feel really depressed for no reason, it may not be you, and it may not be the weather. It may be some kind of a projection. So if you find yourself in that position, and sometimes it's really hard to pull yourself out of it, the best thing to do, laughter is good, and the other one is to outcreate it. It's like, I'm not buying into this. I know this is probably a projection on me. I'm not buying it. I'm going to change the movie right now. I'm going to think of something happy. I'm going to clear this energy out, and I usually clear it out with the cryogenetics egg and neutralize all that and then move on. Now, sometimes I have to do that like 20 times a day when I'm really being psychically attacked or projected on, but I do it over and over and over again, and pretty soon they get tired. It's like outwitting him and outwilling him, and you can outwit them and be ahead in the game, and you're the one that's in charge. That's what you have to remember, is you're in charge, and you're not going to let them be in charge, and you take your life back. And so I know that there's crappy stuff out there. Ronnie knows there's crappy stuff out there. We've dealt with it, but let's get it more real about it, and more let's be in the driver's seat so that we can feel like we can do something about it and not let it have its way with us.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it's usually the first wave indigos that are attacked more often than not, because they're the movers and the shakers. Laura Lee has a website called firstwaveindigos.com that will give the profile of an indigo. There's like a test that people can take to see if they fit into that. And they're a lot more sensitive to things. So our philosophy is, you are what you think, and thinking creates reality, and our job is to give people tools, the tools to navigate this third-dimensional world, which is a little hard to do, and we have tools. They're not the only tools on the planet, but they're tools that we know are very, very successful.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yes. Now, with these archons, do you think they are in any way related to jinn?
They can be. There's so many. See, right now, Earth is a hot spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Earth is Earth is where it's happening, okay? And that's why a lot of people are here right now. And that's why the indigos are here right now, because they decided to walk into bodies here so that they could clear the corruption, and it's a hot spot. So there are so many archons out there. Some we don't even know who they are or what they are. So I just label them archons. And
okay.
So I would say to whoever asked that, I would say there's a high probability
All right.
of that being a yes.
Do y'all want to take a small break and maybe come back? Or do y'all want to end this?
Okay, we can do that. Should we take
we could come back. Sure.
Okay, we could do that.
So, gals, whenever you are back, let me know.
I'm back.
We're back.
You back?
Oh, they're back.
Here.
Hey, listen to that.
I'm back.
I hope you enjoyed yourselves.
We
did. Was good.
All right. I think I'm going to get my other voice out. Because I actually created a voice. I was going to do another show called Tales from the Graveside, so I created this character. And I'm going to see if I can do the voice. Okay. Welcome. I am the gravekeeper. Anyway.
I love it.
Perfect. Awesome.
We should tape that for Halloween and play that when people come to the door.
I'm pretty sure I just scared a bunch of people. They were like, what the hell? I don't know what that was. It's like...
Excellent voice.
Yeah, it's like Laura Lee says, it's a bunch of weird shit. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I guess we better get back into the motion here.
Back to work, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, that's all we do here. You know, we just have fun, and that's what the show's about. It's about entertaining and getting to know what's going on in our world, the seriousness, but at the same time trying to have a laugh, because it's like the guests have said tonight, laughter is the best medicine. If you can't laugh, then there's something seriously wrong with you. Don't you guys agree?
Totally.
Yep.
If I'm with somebody, especially somebody that's supposed to be enlightened, and if they don't laugh, I really step back and take a look at them, because there's something seriously
Not quite
wrong.
Right.
Yeah, they just ain't right.
Ain't right.
Yes. Now, an individual, 7 Christie on Midnight Fans, wants to know, what is the most common customer-client request that y'all have had, or that you do receive?
Well, it's been shove-ins, don't you think, Connie? You were just going to say that.
I was. You must be psychic or something.
I must be.
So go ahead and explain.
No. Well, I was just going to say that's like shove-ins and shove-ons have been really prominent lately, and there's a difference between a shove-in and a shove-on. A shove-in is where the being actually is inside and takes over the microphone. And a shove-on is like a backpack that you carry around and will tell you stuff in your ear, and every once in a while they can go in and out, but mostly they're on you. And sometimes they're detected, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you know there's just something that's not right, but you're not quite sure what it is. Sometimes you know that there's something on there. Sometimes you know if there's something inside of you. And we've been getting a lot of those. And what we've discovered is that the majority of these, probably 70% of the shove-in issues that come up are from first-wave indigos. And they seem to be more susceptible because they're more capable of doing serious damage to the powers that be here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things trying to take them down and out, trying to make them feel like they're not sane, like they can't do anything, and when really they're very sane and they can do a lot. And so it's just been recently we just had lots of rashes of that. And after you read the book, you may be able to take them out yourself. We encourage people when they call us. We tell them to read the book first, get them some rocks, get their house gridded, and see what you can do yourself before you hire us. We would rather empower you by doing it yourself rather than just having us do it.
Mm-hmm.
But we will. If somebody says, this is just something I can't handle, then they can hire us. But we would rather that you at least try yourself, and then if there's something you missed or something, then we can have a consult with you and help point it out and maybe help you that way.
Yes. It is always
Yeah,
better
just so
to
people-
teach a person how to fish than to give them
Right,
fish, because
exactly.
they can do it themselves over and over and over if they need to.
Absolutely.
And then
just
help
so
other
people know
people.
how to get a shove-in, because some of the people in your audience may not be familiar with that phenomenon. A shove-in also can be known as a possession. We just call it a shove-in, and it will usually happen if someone is either in an accident and had like a total shock, maybe hit from behind, had an operation, was unconscious in in surgery or a dentist's office, maybe fell, hit their head, maybe they're falling down drunk or on heavy duty drugs. It's what happens is the body, that we have cannot protect itself when it's in that almost unconscious or unconscious state, and it allows opportunistic ghosts to literally shove in and then take over. And depending on the degree of the shove-in and what they're all about is what happens to the person that has them. There's been extreme personality shifts in some of the shove-ins, and that's why we get called in. We got a call this morning, in fact. Somebody wants us to help their daughter, who all of a sudden is just not acting the same way anymore. And so it's something that we can come in, remove the shove-in, and then, all of a sudden the person has their life back again.
Mm-hmm.
Major, major shifts. So it's important stuff.
It is, and I need to insert here that there's different kinds of shove-ins. It's not just a ghost. There can be conjured spirits. There can be aliens, alien ghosts, alien projections, and then also, this is kind of a new one, it's electronic or digital shove-ins.
What?
And yeah. Now I have a story to tell you. And Ronnie didn't. I thought Ronnie knew this story, and we were at a speaking engagement, and I told the story, and she said, "I didn't know that happened." It's kind of funny, but it's really crazy. Okay, last year, about this time, it was like in the winter. All of a sudden, I started getting really obsessed about cream and ice cream and yogurt with cream on the top and just cream. And I'm like, I got to have it. So I started buying ice cream. And you have to understand, I don't even like ice cream. I mean, I could go for years without ice cream and be okay. Not now. Oh, my gosh. I was like obsessed. And I would go to the store and I would calculate and make sure that I'd look in the freezer to see how much was there. And then I'd go to the store and make sure I always had at least 2 or 3 cartons of ice cream, and then I would eat 2 to 3, sometimes 4 bowls a night myself. Okay, this is not good. Now I got the good organic stuff, and I made sure that the ice cream that I ate was from cows that they were nice to, because I don't support anything that's mean to animals. And this went on month after month, and I'm gaining weight, and then I'm starting to get heart palpitations at night. So I'm taking more vitamin E, and I'm like, you know what, there's really something not right. I don't even like ice cream, but I am obsessed with it. Now, what is the problem? So finally I thought, okay, I got to figure this out. So I got my Amorite rocks, and I'm tuning into this, and I found a baby cow had been shoved into me. I'm like, what? A baby cow? That is so bizarre. And it's like this baby cow that needed milk all the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so weird. So I take the baby cow, and then I find out it's not even real. It's a projection. It's a digital shove-in. So I took it to a place that I call the Cosmic Recycle Bin, and cleared my fields out, cleared everything of that electronic shove-in out of me. I didn't care about milk after that. In fact, I took all of the ice cream and took it over to the neighbors because they've got lots of kids, and they thought it was just great because here I am bringing gifts. I said, I got this and for the holidays, and if it's just here, then I'll eat it myself. I didn't tell them that I went and bought it just the day before. So I was gaining weight. My heart was going into arrhythmia. I could have died had I continued on that path. So whatever had projected this into me was trying to kill me.
Yes.
And but I'm, smart enough to be able to see the signs before I croaked. And it's a pretty bizarre story, but I tell you what, I went from being obsessed to not giving a rip about cream or ice cream, and just like as soon as it was over, as soon as I got rid of it, I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that this stuff works because of the results that we get. When we do a busting or we do a shoving removal, there is instant results. And if there's something that's still not quite right, then we'll go in and tweak it. But we always get results. And that's how you know that the stuff we do is real, because things change after. All the stories in our books talk about the before and after, and it's amazing the things that happen after we clear these energies out.
Yes. Now, I actually think I might have a monkey shove-in, because I get a bunch of bananas, I eat them all in one day, then I have to go out and get some more.
Bananas are cool, okay? And a monkey shove-in, I don't know, maybe it's a spirit guide, and there's a difference between a shove-in and a spirit guide. Some people might not know the difference, but a spirit guide has gone to what we call guide school, gotten their credentials, and then come back. And it could be friends or family. It could be pets. There's a new thing that is a spirit guide school for pets so that they can go to guide school and then come back and help you out. And then more recently, we found this spirit guide school for other animals. It's some of our beloved pets, and I've talked to a lot of people whose pets crossed over, and they went to this guide school to help other animals out, to help rescue other animals. And this is a really interesting story. There was a indigo that I know that her dog was poisoned, and her dog's name was Rena, and it just devastated her. And she came to visit me a couple months later, I think it was, and we had worked it out, and I told her that I thought that her dog was going to guide school. And we went into town, and there was this little deer that got hit, and it was at the side of the road. And so I'm looking at that, and I'm checking to make sure that it didn't get caught in a spirit trap or anything. And I said to our helpers on the other side, there's a little deer here. No, it's looking for its mother. Can you, come and pick it up? Well, on the way back, I see the deer, and nobody's gotten it yet. And I'm like, could you please come? And I was expecting Amika, my former business partner, to come and get it. But it wasn't her. The one that came was Rena, this dog, and she comes bounding in, and she picks up the little deer, and I says, well, thank you. It took you long enough. He says, sorry about that. We're a little busy here. Sorry, tell everybody hi, love you, bye, and takes the little deer off. Well, at that same time, my girlfriend was sitting there in the car, and she started to cry. And I said, are you okay? And she said, well, for some reason, looking at that little deer just made me think of my dog, Rena, and it just made me sad. I said, oh, my gosh, you will not believe this. And then I told her the story, and she was just elated. She said, that is so how Rena would have acted, just bounding in. Oh, hi, sorry, we're a little busy here, tell everybody hi, love you, bye. She said, that is that dog's personality. And so this is just one of many stories that have happened with people's pets. And it seems like our pets are becoming more and more connected to us. And when they die, it's like it leaves a huge hole in our hearts.
Oh, it does.
And by being able to connect people to their pets and let them know what their pets are doing, and pets are doing good jobs, and they're happy, and they're they're working to help things with the planet, bring the planet back into balance. It really, really helps the grieving process and helps them to have that peace and serenity that their beloved pet is still alive and doing good works.
Mm-hmm. That there's certainly a real connection between us and our pets, whether you want to consider them family, pets, whatever. My dad had gone into the hospital right after Mother's Day this year, and he was gravely ill. We didn't realize it. He died.
Oh.
And but when he went into the hospitals, the dogs, Star and Max, they both realized something was going on. Mm-hmm. You know, you could see in their eyes they're sad. After he died, my brother went back to the house, and he said that the dogs were happy. They were wagging their tails. They acted like nothing happened. That they went from being completely sad to being happy, as though Dad had actually come back to say goodbye to them.
Yes, and he wasn't in pain anymore either.
No, he wasn't.
And they knew that.
They could feel the pain that he was going through, and they loved him very much. And through love is where the connection comes. And so I'm sure he came back. You know, I think before he even went, he stopped to say something to the dogs, and they knew he was okay because they could feel that he was out of pain. Mm-hmm. And animals, you know, that they will absolutely do that. They have souls, and they are so connected through the love energy, and,
yes.
and they deserve to be treated. Yeah, they are telepathic. They deserve to be treated well on this planet.
That they do. So, I could tune some people out, you know, by saying this, but there are some idiots on YouTube. I'm just going to call them out, you know, that says that animals don't have souls. They pretty much came out and said that they claim it's in the Bible. And, you know, anybody that's read the Bible will tell you there's nothing in there that says animals don't have souls. Period.
Right.
Nothing. So if you believe that animals do not have souls, I'm sorry, folks, you're an idiot. Tune this radio show off. I know you're going to, but they have souls.
Amen. They do. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact, because there are so many animal stories, just like with your little Snowball story.
Yes.
You got to see Snowball after he crossed, and you got to see the spirit of who he was. If they didn't have a soul, that couldn't happen. We've had situations. We had a little kitty that we had to put to sleep when my son was younger, living here, and the vet said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do on the phone," she told me. And she said, "You know, we're going to have to put this kitty to sleep." And so a few minutes later after she said that, I swear that kid, I was just sitting at my desk and I could hear that kitten meowing and coming literally to say goodbye. My son, he was only 16, he comes running out of the room. He looks at me and goes, "I just heard Ryoki." Now, you know, how does that happen? So it's the soul of that animal that came to say goodbye. He didn't know I heard that cat. He just came out on his own. So we have so many, many, many animal stories that they're real, because it has proof. You know, we have proof that these things happen. So I feel sorry for those people that think that, and maybe they think that people don't have souls either. I don't know.
I don't know either. I know my grandmother, before she passed away, on my mother's side, she believed any ghost, even the one that followed us back to the house from Vanderbilt Hospital in 2008 when Daddy was just coming back from the death or whatever it is, you know, wherever he was. Mm-hmm. Somebody followed us back to the house from the hospital. I probably told you this the last time, and the ceiling fan started turning around by itself. Yeah. And my grandmother was adamant. She's dead now. She knows better now. Don't you, Grandma? You know better now. Anyway, that was the work of the devil. Anything that moved around by itself, it couldn't be a human being spirit. It had to be the work of the devil. That's what she believed.
Yeah, she was taught that, and that's sad. There are a lot of people, especially in the Bible Belt, that they take a lot of things very literally from the Bible, and most of those things were put in there for control. And, there's fabulous things in the Bible, so, don't get me wrong. The things that Jesus preached and taught, fabulous. But when it comes to things like even Satan, if you really understand what the word meant at the time, it was, they were talking about, Gehenna, which was the dump. It was the garbage dump. And so what they would tell the little children in Jerusalem and those places is like, if you're bad, we're going to put you in Gehenna, which was, where they burned their fires, and it burned there all the time. And so that got changed to, oh, you're going to go to hell because it's the fires of hell, when it was really the garbage dump. And unfortunately, the Bible was written in Aramaic and then translated and on and on and on. And I think there's a book out that says there were 110,000 words in the Bible that were misinterpreted, and hell was one of them. So, it's just, again, for control. And there was things taken out of the Bible. 325 A.D. at the Nicene Council, they took out things on reincarnation.
Yes.
Because they thought, well, if people thought they were going to come back, they might not, be good. They might not give us their money. It goes on and on. So we're not saying that there's something wrong with the Bible. We're just saying that it's important to take it as what it is. There's a lot of very good spiritual things in there, especially, again, if you listen to the words of Jesus about loving one another as you love yourself and that type of thing. But not every little single thing, because otherwise you'd be stoning your neighbors. If you really took it literally, it would be scary.
Thing is, with the Bible, it's been rewritten over the generations, and a lot of times it's rewritten to fit political agendas. If we just went to the strict, purest message, we'd have to go and find the original tablets that they were written on, or whatever they were, and translate them from, what was it, Hebrew?
Aramaic.
Yeah.
It was originally Aramaic.
And I believe, what is it, the Vatican, they may have the original copies?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they don't want you to have that. But, now it's Pope Francis. Who knows? He is awesome. He is more open to so many different things, and he's not putting up with a lot of the control and greed that went on for years and years and years. So we may get to see those one day. I don't know. It would be nice. Absolutely.
Let's get on to the topic of Ouija boards. I've had on a guest, actually two guests. I don't know if you've heard of either one of them, Karen Dahlman and Rosemary Ellen Galley. And Karen really is a proponent that Ouija boards, if used correctly, are a great tool to embrace a higher power. But are they dangerous? And if so, why are they dangerous?
They are so dangerous. I believe they're very, very dangerous. But if, like she said, if used correctly and if you know how to protect yourself, then there's a lot of good things that can come of it. But here's the thing. Here's what a Ouija board does. Basically, you put yourself, most people do it for fun or giggles or they're drunk or whatever it is. And what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to the astral plane, lower dimension astral. That's not a good place. And let me tell you, because I've had one experience with the Ouija board, and that was the last time I was ever going to do that because I didn't have tools like I do now. But it's almost like you open a door and there's hundreds of entities that want to come through and talk to you and mess with you. And if you're drunk enough, like we had a client when he was a teenager using a Ouija board drunk, And what he did is he picked up an entity. It just popped on in there. And he had that entity around with him for a long time. And so he called us to get rid of it. And this entity would fight with him all the time, and a lot of anger and things that went on. Well, we got rid of this entity for him, and probably a week later, he called us back and said, "Bring it back, I'm lonely." It's like, no, because once an entity crosses over, it doesn't come back. So
well, that was so funny. I could not believe that we had somebody call us and say, I'm kind of lonely here. Can you bring that guy back? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You want us to bring your ghost back? Are you kidding?
Yeah, and it's true. And that was picked it up from a Ouija board. So I would say by themselves, if you don't ever touch them, maybe they're not dangerous. But the minute you put your fingers on it, there's like it's almost like an energy, a thought form that has, because they've been around for a really long time. So it's almost like they have a life of their own. And it's an open doorway to the astral realm where there are lower entities there. However, that being said, if you know how to protect yourself, if you know how to make sure that only beings of the light come through, if you are so good and strong and clear in your intentions and your protections, then it could be a good tool. I mean, Jane Roberts wrote the book Seth Speaks, using a Ouija board, and that was back in the 70s, and that's one of the finest books on the nature of spiritual reality that I've ever read. It really opened me up to stuff. So I always caution people, be afraid. Be very afraid. Because there are entities that are just waiting to come through on that Ouija board and attach themselves to you.
Let me in.
Yeah. We'll do that again. Let so good.
me in. Call to me. So well. Anyway.
I love it. I don't know. Isn't that good? But that's exactly what it is. I mean, it was the oddest feeling that I'd ever had using that Ouija board, and you could almost feel the entities, like it was like a little phone booth, and they were all fighting to get in there to get to say their piece.
Yes.
But yet, and then I will say this, but we did get some good information from it because a friend of ours was sick. We were at her house, and we were using the Ouija board to see if it had anything to say, and something came through and said RX, meaning prescription, 3 Fs. And we're like, 3 Fs. And it turned out to be fennel, flaxseed, and something or other. Now I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Fenugreek, yeah, the 3 Fs, and they wanted her to take that. So sometimes you can get good information if you get rid of the riffraff that are fighting to get their say.
When you said 3 Fs, my mind was going bleep, 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 you know. Anyway.
That too.
You never know with a ghost. You never know. That might be cushioning.
You never know. Never.
Now, with this other guest and I, we've been talking about maybe doing an all Ouija show where I would have a Ouija board on air and she would guide me with her energy. I guess it would be a video show because I'm thinking about doing a video type of series on the internet. But would that not be advisable?
Let's put it this way. I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it for $1 million.
Well, maybe $1 million. But I would make sure that I really had my protection going. And I use the Amorite rock that Laura Lee talked about. I always, when I'm doing readings or ghost bustings, I always have one of those handy, and I have crystals that are protection. And then I would call, my angels in, and I would call everybody in for protection, and I would make sure that I was absolutely 100% in a place that nothing else could come in. So you could say prayers of protection. Prayers are very powerful things. Using the cryogenetics egg is also a very good protection tool because most of the time, things can't get in there. So it would be interesting, but if you ever get a shove-in, you know who to call. Something like that happens, we can help.
Yes, I've actually had several events happen after a show, usually talking about demons or something like that. And I've learned that before a show to get down on my hands and knees, pray to God, pray to a higher power, and ask for protection. Because I've had one event after another that I cannot explain how it happened. Such as a time when when the studio was upstairs, up in the what's called a bonus room. It's almost as if, hey, you're buying a house. As a bonus, you're getting this room for free. No, you're not. Anyway, but they want to call it bonus room. Anyway, it was up there in the bonus room. And after I did the show, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was still editing. We have a walk-in attic, a full attic where you can walk up the stairs and everything. But we had some huge containers up there weighing 20 pounds. It was full. And something decided to throw down one of those containers, and it hit that steel door. I mean, you could tell it was thrown down. Mm-hmm. And, I've never had that happen before. But I'm going to tell you, I'm usually not scared, but that scared the living hell out of me.
Yes. I bet it did. And, attics and basements are really where ghosts love to hide.
And Laura Lee?
Their favorite place. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, I take the basement. She takes the attic, right?
She's my basement girl. Yeah. But see, you said something that's really important, Bob, that people need to know. Prayer is a very powerful thing. And when you ask, and it doesn't really matter, what your religion is, what your belief is, what your spiritual ideas are, you call to that higher power. And that will protect you and will help you. You just have to know that because, again, thoughts create reality. And if you call that power to you with your heart and with your soul, you will be protected. So, and sometimes things like that happen just to kind of wake us up and to also let us know that there's something we need to learn. We need to experience for learning.
That
was scary.
Yes. How can a person tell if they have a ghost in their life or if it's just a guide, an angel, or possibly some or other kind of entity such as these archons?
Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take the ghosts and Laura.
Okay, and then I take the weird shit. Okay.
The weird shit, yeah.
Yeah, because she is the queen of weird shit. I mean,
I'm gonna write a song, Queen of Weird Shit.
There you go.
I'll put it on my website.
Not if I'm singing, you're not.
In that crazy voice.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, for ghosts, I'm sure people have seen this before. A lot of times you'll get goosebumps, or they call goose flesh. The hair on the back of your neck will stand up. Sometimes there's cold spots that there are no reasons for a cold spot to be there. A lot of times people will have trouble with their electronics, like their TV will keep blowing up, their light bulbs will blow up. We've had DVRs, just blow up. They get brand new ones and they blow up again, and that's how they know to call us. Usually, if you get a really creepy kind of feeling, like feeling of dread, chances are there is a ghost in the house. And if you get a warm, fuzzy feeling, like it feels good and safe and loving, then chances are it's a spirit guide or an angel. Because, we have angels around us all the time. Everybody is born with a guardian angel. Everybody. And then we get more angels depending on what's going on in our lives that come and go. But angels are always there for us. They're our support group. So that's basically how you would tell. And the difference, by the way, between an angel and a spirit guide is a spirit guide has been human, has been in a human form. They know what it's like to be in a third-dimensional body. Angels, not so much. They don't know. That's why they don't do time very well. They don't do certain things very well. But that's the difference between the spirit guide and an angel. So the other weird shit, I don't know. She'll have to tell you.
That was very good, Ronnie. You did a good job in defining those. Sometimes, and I know that this has happened to me even like this week, where you get information and you don't know if it's good or bad. Or I had one of my pets cross over last week, and I could not get any psychic information on it, and I thought there was something really wrong with me because I felt just really out of whack and out of balance. Well, my guides and guardians needed to leave me alone because of what was going to happen next, and I'm going to be posting that on my website probably tomorrow. So I'm not going to go into the story because it's got some really weird shit in it. But my point is, when I got to the other side of it, it all made sense, and I realized my spirit guides were there. They hadn't abandoned me. Sometimes we feel abandoned by our spirit guides, but it's just because we need to go through something and learn something, and then when we get to the other side, it's like, oh, okay, it's all good. We're all together again. Okay, let's party. So sometimes it might be a little hard to detect what it is, but just know that in a day or two, maybe you'll get it figured out. And that's the important thing is, and I always tell myself, I don't know what's going on now, but I'm going to get this figured out, and I will figure it out, and I will understand this. And that can help you through so many things in life, no matter what it is. If you don't understand it now, say, okay, I don't get it, but I will. Someday I'm going to get this, and I'm going to keep searching until I find the answer, and you will. And so if you think you've got a spirit guide, maybe ask it its name and start writing down, do some automatic writing, get connected to it, and time will tell. If you have one that's trying to dupe you, sooner or later it'll slip up. They always do. Mm-hmm. They always do. And sometimes you need the experience of having a duper in your life so you know what it feels like. So even that isn't always lost. And it's not because you're stupid, it's just that you need the experience so you could tell an authentic one from a phony one. Mm-hmm. And so my suggestion is to just kind of sit back, pull back a little bit, observe in a neutral position. That's one of the keys in cryogenetics is neutrality, and that will help you get clarity on what's going on in your life.
Yes. Now, Shove-ons.
What about the alien weird shit?
The alien weird shit.
An alien implant. Well, this is her forte, is telling the difference between a spirit guide and some alien thing, or sometimes there's implants and all that stuff.
That sounds kinky.
It is. But that's why I don't deal with it. I'm a little angel girl here, I don't deal with that stuff. I leave it to her.
She's lightweight.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Anyway.
No, yeah. So again, even if it's alien, and not all aliens are good, and they're not all bad. Just like not all Americans are good, and they're not all bad. There's a plethora of things out there. So you have to take it on an individual basis, just like you have to take the people in your life on an individual basis. And that's how I would say on all of the above, just kind of go neutral and observe, and pretty soon you'll start getting real savvy as to be able to tell what's authentic and what's been manipulated and full of lies.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, before, what was it? Last year, we did a show together, and as I was editing the show, we've discussed this before. There was an EVP on it that I had found, and
That is so funny.
I know Ronnie thought it said one thing, and Laura Lee thought it said another. Do you guys want to share what you thought it was?
Yeah, Ronnie, you go first.
Well, we were so surprised that an EVP showed up on our show. Actually, we really weren't surprised, come to think of it, because that's what we call weird shit. And things like that do happen quite a bit. But when you sent it to me, Bob, and I played it, and we were talking about, I don't know, I think we were talking about the armored ghost. I don't know what we were talking about, but it was probably some scary thing. I thought the EVP said, "Kill her." Kill her. And Laura Lee thought, yes.
Yeah,
Laura
to
Lee.
me, it was plain as day. Now, Ronnie, this could have been when I had the cow on me, okay?
It was.
Because I thought it
swear
said yogurt.
Now we know why
Now
you
I
thought it was yogurt. Trust me, people, she had an electronic baby cow, and it was not yogurt that it was talking about.
Did you have that electronic baby cow around October of last year?
I did.
Yes,
What? What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So that's why I'm saying I'm kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. Maybe that's what, because to me it was as clear as day. I thought, how can you guys not tell that that says yogurt? I mean, it's totally yogurt. You guys are not hearing right.
I just thought it said kill her. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Same thing.
And I couldn't understand how you guys could get that out of yogurt.
Well, I'm a guy. That's my excuse. Guys don't like yogurt. At least I don't. So.
No, and I couldn't understand why she would say yogurt. It made no sense. But now, see, bringing this back, she had that electronic cow, and that's all she ever thought about was milk and cream and
cow
yogurt
products.
and ice cream. Yeah. So that's how it works.
We're going to do that weird shit woman or whatever you want to call it song. We're going to have a digital cow in it. You know, taking over somebody's body, and they're eating ice cream.
The weird shit song.
Yeah.
And eating yogurt.
Yeah, and the digital cow keeps wanting yogurt. We're going to make that song out.
I love it. I love it. And I'm hoping that you can post that EVP for your listeners so that they can give us their opinion of
Yeah,
what
I would
they
love to
says.
hear what other people think.
Well, I certainly
And
will.
if you think it says yogurt, you probably have an electronic little baby cow.
Then call me and we'll get that sucker out. Or maybe whoever it was that said that had a baby cow shove-in them, and they wanted yogurt too.
Maybe.
You don't know. The EVP
No.
person could have had that.
All I know is that
I'd
it
say
came
no.
from one of your lines. It was on your audio, so.
Oh, it's probably hers. So strange.
Yes, certainly was. I don't have the email right now, but I believe it was Laura Lee throws a awesome Halloween party.
I just got my invitations ready, and I was going to send it to you, but I didn't have your address, and now I do.
Yes.
So I will send you. And this year, do you know what the theme is?
What's that? Digital cows? Shove-ins?
Last year.
That'll be next year. Yeah, that was last year.
That's where we came as animals. Oh, dear.
No, it's out of this world. So you can dress up anything that's out of this world. And I had somebody write back to me, and they said, "So this is a come as you are party?"
Body paint. That's all I got to say. Show up in nothing but body paint.
Body paint.
That's out of this world.
So I will
love it.
send you an invite, and I hope you come.
Well, you're a little
She
far
has the
from
best
me, but
party.
I do want to thank you for last year's invite because I did get it. I was invited.
It was fun. It's always fun. You know, the thing about Halloween, I guess maybe a lot of people do know this, the veils are a lot thinner around Halloween than around almost any other time. And when we do these Halloween parties, well, Laura Lee, she does the Halloween parties, we've had times where we've sat around and contacted the spirit of people that have crossed over, and sometimes even the spirit of our pets, and even people that aren't really well versed at doing that, like because we have experience. They were actually able to make that contact. So Halloween
is so powerful. Yeah, it was a amazing party. Because some people were crying, and it was and people that didn't know that they could actually talk to the dead were just astonished.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest that people try that. If you had a loved one cross over, that would be a good one to get a pen and paper and light a candle, get yourself all stabilized and focused, and then just open your thoughts and say, okay, what do you want to tell me? And then start writing and see what happens.
No, gals.
Just do your prayers of protection. We have prayers of protection in our book. Use the cryogenetics egg, whatever you want to use as a tool for protection. And then, start writing, and you'll be surprised what can come through.
Oh, I certainly would. I will start writing right now, and I'll be cussing at myself, like, hey, who's writing that down?
Grandma's going to come back and say,
that's right.
She's going to get mad at you.
I'm going to throw this pencil away and, burn the paper.
Yes. Absolutely.
Anyway, gals, being the time of year it is, Halloween, people have wondered, are there entities that come out only around this time of year, such as the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown? Linus is always out there waiting for the Great Pumpkin, and he never shows up. Are there actual entities that show up around Halloween?
I believe there are, because I think they can show up other times, but since the veils are thinner then, that they can get through easier at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say absolutely yes to that. What about you, Ronnie?
I would agree with that, except saying that with ghosts, they don't just come out around Halloween. They're there all the time. They don't need Halloween to do it. But, like Laurie said, the veils are thinner, and there are some entities that use that as a tool to be able to get through.
Yes.
So, absolutely.
And there's also entities that come out around Christmas time. Santa Claus. With the claws, yes.
And the elves.
Yes.
The little elves, they come out too.
All right, gals. Your book is Got Ghosts. And again, there's a Halloween special going on. Do you want to tell folks about that?
Yes, Got Ghosts, the bizarre but true tales of the Ghostbuster gals, which includes a do-it-yourself Ghostbusting guide, normally $22, but now, for the Halloween special, you can have this book for only $18. But wait, if you order now, I just love those commercials. But wait, no, if you do more, if you do order, we are going to send you an autographed copy. We're also going to send you a free set of grid rocks, and the $18 includes shipping except for out of this country and out of this world. It's just for this country that's the $18. And you can go to the Farside website to get a link to where to get the book. And if you want to have fun with our retro site, you can go to ghostbustergals.com. We don't want any comments about how corny it is and how silly it is. We know. We made it that way. It's a funny site. It's a pretty site. If you want to have fun, you can go to that site too. And then there'll be other links there for Laura Lee's sites and especially Laura Lee's book, Cryogenetics, which is a fabulous book. So Yeah, we hope you do that, and then let us know what you think about the book. Most people think it's a pretty funny book, so we like that.
Oh, and let me tell you about the grid rocks. They're teeny, teeny, tiny. They're about as big as a pinhead, but you don't need. All you need is just a sparkle of this dust. That's just as powerful as a rock as big as your fist. So in this instance, size does not matter, okay? Just because it's teeny tiny doesn't mean it doesn't work, okay?
Yeah, just so you know, they'll come in little tissue paper.
Yeah, they're in a little tissue paper that you can pin to the four corners of your walls. And we did it that way so if you have pets, it won't get vacuumed up because they are so small. So just use like a push pin and there's instructions in the book on how to set up a grid.
Not really. We're going to send you instructions. It's not in the book. They're little rocks. Yeah, what? you can see them. They're little tiny stones, real small, and then there'll usually be one that's a little bigger. That's for the sensor. Yeah. The instructions are not in the book, but we will actually send you the instructions. And if you want the rocks, when you do order the book, just put in the special instructions. Put Bob Bain on there. If you say Bob Bain, we'll send you rocks. That'll work. So we're very grateful for you, Bob, to give us the opportunity to chat and share our knowledge with people. We know that, it might not be for everybody, and that's okay, too. We do the best we can with the 33 years that
we've been doing the show. Just right now, we've been doing it for 33 years.
We've been doing our weird stuff for 33 years. We have a lot of experience. We have about 60-something years between us. So it's just, take it or leave it. It's okay.
Exactly. That's the way I feel about this show. People will complain about every little thing. I don't always pronounce things right, I could go around thinking I'm saying pumpkin and I could say ass hat. But, but I don't always pronounce things the way I mean them. It's right. Never that bad, but
No, but that's okay. And there's always trolls. We found that no matter whatever show, when we did the Art Bell show and when we did Coast to Coast, there's always the trolls that like to get on there and say mean and awful, terrible things. Most of the time they don't even listen to the whole show. They'll just talk about the giggling, or they'll talk about, these girls don't know anything, and what do they know? So we're okay with it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Hey, have you heard this show over here? There's these gals over here just laughing about ghosts. You hear this?
Exactly.
What's this weird shit over here? That Bob Bain don't know what the hell he's doing.
Right. We love those people. There's always room for growth.
Exactly. And guest and a host that keeps making voices.
We love the voices.
I love that voice.
We do. We love the voices.
Well, gals, I definitely appreciate that you spent this night with us again. It's always a true pleasure. I love having you here. It's always delightful. It's always a night filled with laughter, whether people enjoy that or not. If you don't enjoy laughter, what the hell is wrong with you people?
Right.
Must be an asshole. And we appreciate your audience, too, because anybody that's listening to this show has a real desire to learn and to grow and to expand their life, and we think that's great.
So true, so true. Well, gals, thank you again so much, and I will give this a end, and I hope the two of you have a great night and a spooktacular Halloween. Anyway, y'all have a good night.
On that note, good night.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Angel Girl and Witchy Woman, a.k.a. the Ghostbuster Gals. And their book, you can find it at thefarside.tv/gotghost. And again, it's a Halloween special, $18 right now, free shipping, you get rocks. What better deal can you get than that? And it's signed go over to the website, which again you can find by going to thefarside.tv/gotghost. And if you do have a ghost haunting you, give these gals, I should say. I'm going to get my, anyway. Give these gals a call, email them, anything else. They are a bunch of wonderful people. I've had the opportunity to speak with them 2 years in a row now. And in all honesty, they love to laugh, but it's because they are pure souls that truly enjoy helping other people and helping other souls move on. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to wish you all a great night, a happy Halloween, and to all of my friends at midnightfans.com, to all of my friends at facebook.com/farsideshow and twitter.com/farsideshow. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to this program. Thank you so much for supporting it from the very beginning. You truly do not know how much it means to me that you are listening to the show, that you are supporting the show, and whether or not you always agree with what we're talking about, that you are still there. Thank you. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you all a kind farewell.